I got to be an extra in the pilot episode of a television series. So now I'm basically a star. At my school, there was this class that was filming a TV pilot, all student created, which is really impressive if you think about it. A friend of mine was working on it and she asked if I would be an extra in a classroom scene. I said sure, thinking that this would be my key to fame and fortune. But what really caught my attention, caught my fancy as they say, was that the classroom scene was a flashback sequence that takes place in a high school in the 90s. That's right, the 1990s, the golden era. A simpler time when Justin Timberlake had bleached hair and the thought of him being a solo artist was as ridiculous as the concept of the show Friends being canceled. A time when really baggy jeans and brightly colored windbreakers coexisted peacefully. You could wear them together. It would be normal. A time when you could watch The Fresh Prince of Bel-Air and it wouldn't be a rerun. Those were the days. Of course, I was an incredibly small child at that time, so I don't really know if those were the days, but for the people that were of a mature age at that time, in adolescence, those probably were the days. You know what I mean? You got me. You got me. Do you got me? I don't know if you do. Anyway, I dressed up in this little get-up here, a little 90s attire, and headed out into the world of showbiz. I didn't actually get paid. I was an extra. It ended up being a lot of waiting around on set, which I kind of expected, but they had the two things that are needed to keep me entertained. 1, snacks. 2, access to Netflix. So a few handfuls of Goldfish and 1 Emperor's New Groove viewing later. We were ready to go. I was heading into the classroom with a few other people. It was like plastered with 90s decor. You know, posters of George Bush Sr. and Nixon. He wasn't really 90s, but people were thinking about him. And, you know, Mikhail Gorbachev nesting dolls. That last one was actually kind of weird. Did people just have those in the 90s? Nesting dolls of like famous political figures? Was that normal? Because to me, it's kind of bizarre. In the classroom, I ended up sitting right behind the lead actress. So I think I was featured pretty prominently. Or at least the part of my head that you could see behind her head was featured pretty prominently. Basically my hair. But hey, if any part of my body is going to be famous, I think I would go with the hair.
This is where the magic happens.
And so I'm sitting here in my classroom. I'm coming up with my whole character here. I decide I'm going to be the quiet, artsy kid who's kind of a wallflower in high school. So much of a wallflower that he actually uses the term wallflower, but really ends up wowing everybody when he becomes a successful artist as an adult. If they were to interview this guy as an adult, he'd probably sound like this.
Yeah, nobody really cared about me in high school, but I used my loneliness to fuel my creative work, which is how I've been able to afford this giant mansion and this extensive political figure nesting doll collection. Now who's laughing, right? Peace and love to you.
And so I developed this whole character, and I keep saying to the other extras that we should be talking about 90s stuff, you know, really immerse ourselves in the setting. Hey, did you see that new movie, Titanic? Yeah, it's like the best movie ever of all time. Leo DiCaprio, #heartthrob. Oh wait, they didn't have hashtags then. Still a heartthrob. Have you gotten the new NSYNC CD? It's so rad. Oh yeah, I did get that CD. You're tearing up my heart when I'm with you, and when we are apart, I feel it too. And I don't know if those were actually the words to that song. With or without you, I'm dancing like a puppet, I know. Got no strings attached on my radio. I actually just found out that album came out in the 2000s, so disregard that last one. Nobody really wanted to talk to me about any of that stuff. So finally, they've shot the scene and they tell us we can go take a break. I'm like, finally, I'm dying here. I mean, I invested myself in that character. It's hard to just snap right out of that, you know, just back to myself. No. Let me tell you, acting is exhausting. Well, I mean, I wasn't really like a lead actor. I was just an extra. That's still important though, right? I'm gonna say it is. That is important. But then the director comes into our little break room and she looks at me and she says, you were the one sitting right behind the lead actress, right? I'm like, yes. She says, we need you again. I say, okay. And I go back into the classroom and I see they're doing a close-up shot of the lead actress. So my head is gonna be right there, filling the screen behind her. I'm in my desk and I lean to the side to make myself as visible as I can without ruining the scene and being really obvious. Her head's like right here. I'm like, hello, just a artsy kid being quiet in the background, but gonna be successful in the future. And I try to react to what's happening in the scene with my best facial expressions. And then they tell me I'm done, and that was that. There'll be a lot of time before it's all edited and completed, but when they're cutting the footage together, I think they're gonna see a diamond in the rough in the background. Yeah, it's looking good. Hey, who's that kid in the back there? I don't know, but he has a really great look. Yeah, I can just feel the emotion coming off of him. He's dripping in charisma. I can tell he's going for like the quiet, artsy kid, but I'll tell you, there's genius behind those eyes. Oh, look at those facial expressions. Top notch. That guy has so much talent, he makes me want to say like, hey, save some talent for the rest of us. You know what I'm saying? Get this kid an agent. He's on his way to the top. So that might not happen, ever. But hey, you never know. Anyway, I've got to change out of these 90s clothes before anyone sees me and thinks I'm like a time traveler. But I want you to stay as fresh as Will Smith in the 90s. Fresh Prince of Bel-Air reference? Because it's fresh. Nah, never mind. Okay, I'm gonna be honest. I think I'm overdoing the 90s references here, but I gotta go buy a Furby and then get to a Backstreet Boys concert. I'll catch you later.